usual, despite the NFL's second biggest event coming to the NFL's smallest market.
It is pretty amazing just kind of seeing all this kind of come together, and it's just what a cool thing for the Packers and the city of Green Bay and everything. It's just really neat to see it all come together.
Gutey send the Packers on the 23rd pick of the first round.
Yeah, we're ready. I mean, we always joke that on really last Friday we should all take a 5-day vacation and come back, right? Like, because there's more mistakes made in these next few days than anything else. But the process went great.
Packers did their homework on a bunch of wide receivers, but they haven't drafted one in the first round since 2002. Gutey says it's going to be best player available for them.
Hopefully as this draft unfolds, we're able to just kind of sit back and select the best players that fall to us. I mean, that'll be, I think something we prepared ourselves to be in. So no, I don't think we've looked at it really any differently other than certainly if there's an opportunity to take a player at that position that makes sense, we'll do it. But I don't think we feel like we need to do anything.
Again, the draft gets going on Thursday night with the first round.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Get insurance from a company who knows Wisconsin and cares about your community. You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer, but did you know they also offer competitive home and auto rates? Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more about products and discounts.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Bucs and Pacers going to play game 2 of their series tomorrow. Indiana took the first by double digits. Possible the Bucs will get Damian Lillard back, and the Brewers going to be opening a West Coast road trip tonight in San Francisco. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Prin.
The unpredictability of the draft is real, but I think for us it's just a matter of we take a lot of pride in the people that we bring into this locker room. We're obviously chasing things that are really big around here. And we got a very good football team with some really good guys in that locker room. And the guys that we bring into this locker room, to me, need to be the kind of guys that are going to fit into that culture and add to it. And so this every year, this is an opportunity to do that. The culture of your football team, comes from your players. And so that's a big part of what we're doing. It is pretty amazing just kind of seeing all this kind of come together, and it's just what a cool thing for the Packers and the city of Green Bay and everything. It's just really neat to see it all come together.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
That's Brian Gutekunst earlier today. Spoke for about a half hour. That's where we'll begin. Even if it's just procedural, anytime the general manager of an NFL team speaks, because it's so infrequent throughout the year, that's normally where we will begin the show. We don't have to stay there all night. In fact, I know we won't, because over the course of the next 2 hours, we'll get into the Bucks, and I want to talk about the Brewers too. A fun weekend and a really fun game yesterday. And I think there are some important details in yesterday's game and series as a whole. Caleb Durbin making his debut on Friday, very Sal Frelick-like, both the nature of his play and the type of player he is, but also reminded me a lot of Sal Frelick's debut. Was that 2 summers ago already? How time flies with these young kids. These are moments, they say you never get these moments back. I wish I could go back and relive Sal Frelick's debut, although we kind of got Sal Frelick's debut 2.0 on Friday, so we'll talk about that. The type of game they played yesterday, they stole a bunch of bases. So we'll talk about that. Javik Blake is also going to be here. Truly one of the best broadcasters that I know, and I don't pretend to know him well, but follow him, and he's a part of the Brewers minor league pipeline. And I've had him on the show a time or two. He's been on with Bill a time or two, and every time I have him on this show or one of our network shows, I'm like, holy balls, this guy is good. So he's going to join us to talk about the breaking news of the day, which is the Brewers calling up Craig Yoho to join the bullpen. So obviously he's seen a lot of Yoho over the years, and he's going to give us a breakdown on what type of pitch arsenal he has and what Brewers fans can expect as he's going to join the club on this road trip out in San Francisco. I don't know if the Brewers haven't formally announced anything yet. I don't know that we've got a formal announcement. Kurt had the scoop, John Heyman as well, about Yoho. I haven't seen the corresponding move. It might be Henderson going back down, which would be kind of brutal given he pitched so well on Friday in his major league debut, but them's the breaks. Sometimes in baseball, it could also be a player like Ashby or Nestor Cortez, although Nestor Cortez is already on the DL, but they could put someone on the DL or the IL. They could transfer someone. We don't know the corresponding move yet. I think the Brewers fandom is more interested in who's coming up, which is Craig Yoho. So we'll talk with Javik Blake, the announcer, the play-by-play man for the Biloxi Shuckers, and unbelievable amount of ball knowledge, just a real ball knower. We're going to do that at about 4:45. Sometimes I like mixing up where we put the guests. It's too often 4:30 and 5:30. We should mix it up just a little bit more. I'll take your calls tonight as well, 608-321-1670, and the live stream is up and running, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. At Wisco Grant, if you want to watch and comment along with the show in that format, you can as well. Not a ton to glean from Gutey's presser today. Well, I guess it depends on what you're interested in. They spent a couple minutes asking him questions, and he spent a couple minutes talking about this draft class and how the current nature of college football makes it tougher to evaluate players. And I'm just so worn out on that. It might be worthwhile. It might be really important. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of it as a topic. It feels like for the last 2 or 3 years, every football conversation has come back to, well, with the transfer portal and the NIL, like everything's different. And maybe it is. Maybe it has, wholesale completely changed how NFL teams evaluate college players. I just don't care anymore. I don't want to spend any more time than we already do talking about the transfer portal and NIL and COVID waivers and all that stuff. I'm just over it. So that part of the presser didn't really do it for me. There were a couple, draft, take us inside the war room and this and that. And it doesn't really interest me too much. You can absolutely go watch the presser. It's on YouTube. It's on the Packers website. It's very easy to find. 2 or 3 things that interested me most. One housekeeping item that I feel like I have to play this because it's so pertinent to the discussions and it's so germane to the things we've been talking about throughout this offseason. The question, do you need your first round pick to make an impact year 1 this year? I will give you, I will bet you $1 million. You can answer this question. You know what he's going to say, but the question was, do you need your first round pick to perform and to make an impact this year? Instant impact.
Do you need your first round pick to contribute right away?
No, I think you'd love to, but I think a lot of you guys have been around here. It's great when they do, but that's not always the case. This is the transition to the National Football League is tough. It's not always easy. A lot of times it's really determined by opportunity. You know what I mean? If you take a guy in a particular area, that he's just going to have a lot more opportunity than somebody else, and we try to stay away from that drafting for need. We try to just, take the best player available if that's possible. But most of the time, a guy's impact in his rookie year comes down to the opportunities that he had more than anything.
So when I first saw this is before I even listened to the presser, I saw some people tweeting out questions and answers, as Packers beat reporters do during media availabilities, whether it's a coach or a player, or a general manager. And I saw that, Gutey basically saying, no, we do not need players to contribute in year 1. And my first thought was, well, if they've been trying to get their guys to contribute in year 1, they've been doing a horrible job. So I hope they haven't, behind closed doors, like, man, we really got to draft someone who's going to help us this year. Because if that's what they've been doing, they've been quite ineffective, to put it politely. I also laughed at this part of his answer.
But I think a lot of you guys have been around here.
He's saying, well, have you been paying attention to the team? Like, do you think that's something that's important to us? Again, if it is important to them, they've been executing it very, very poorly. I just laughed at that part. Like, hey, have you been watching the team? You've been around. You've been paying attention.
I think a lot of you guys have been around here.
You guys have been around here. It's not what we do. It's just not something that we care about. So if you needed confirmation that the Packers don't care about players contributing in year 1, there's your confirmation. I feel the need to say this every time we discuss players contributing early versus players who are more long-term, projected type selections. You're trying to figure out what the player is going to be in the future versus what they are now. Totally get that. But every time this discussion comes up, I always feel the need to point out common sense. A player can be good right away and also continue to get better. You know what I mean? Like, just because a player is toolsy or very physically gifted or an athletic specimen, right? Those are the types of players that the Packers typically lean towards. Those players can be good early. Like, they can help early. A player being a physical, toolsy, long-term play, they don't have to suck right away. You know what I mean? And I think all too often Packers fans, they clutch their pearls and they get defensive when you see other teams who take players in the first or the second round and they help right away and they're contributors. Cooper DeJean is one. And I think Cooper DeJean is, the discourse around him has probably been skewed because I don't know that he was the superstar player all year. In fact, I know he wasn't to begin the year, but he makes that play in the Super Bowl, and that's what sticks in our mind, right? But think of a player like Jared Verse, right? Stud right away for the Rams. Does anyone think that Jared Verse is like not going to be good moving forward? Does anybody believe that Jared Verse isn't going to continue to learn and grow and develop? No, of course he is, right? But all too often, Packers fans, we get defensive like, well, yeah, Jared Verse, Cooper, you have your fun in year one. Well, don't worry, we got next. It's like, why? I actually think Jared Verse, those other guys who were good right away, like I think they'll probably continue to be good. It doesn't have to be either or. You know what I mean? Like, players can be good down the line and in the here and now. And I think Packers fans, sometimes we misconstrue that reality just a bit. So I'm always going to throw that out there because I think Packers fans, again, we misconstrue that a little bit. One other thing from the presser that really jumped out to me, and if there was something that you heard today, again, I'll take your calls. I'll go anywhere, but these are the couple things that I identified. Gutey was asked about Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt and what's next for those guys, because the Packers are either going to have to come to terms on some sort of extension or straight up, pick up their fifth-year option, which is going to be pretty expensive. And I like Walker and Wyatt. I liked Darnell Savage fine enough, but when you pick up the fifth-year option of a first-rounder, it's pretty expensive. And I don't know that Devontae Wyatt or Quay Walker, both players I like fine enough, I don't know if any of them have played to the level that would necessitate that kind of contract number, the number that just naturally comes with the fifth-year option of a first-round pick. So he was asked, are you planning to keep Quay Walker around, Devontae Wyatt past this year?
I think we're pretty close. We won't deal with that until after the draft, but I think for both those guys, whatever mechanism we use, we'd like to keep those guys around for 26 and beyond. So whether that's through doing the fifth-year option on these guys or extending them one way or the other, we're planning to do that. We'd like to do that.
So I heard this from Gutey earlier today, and then I saw this tweet. And if you're watching on the live stream, I'll throw it on the screen on our simulcast. And if you're listening on the radio, I'll just read it to you. It's Zach Cruz, who's Packers Wire. And I believe he's a Menominee guy, I think. I'm not quite sure. An Indian. Now we are the Mustangs, but I believe when Zach would have been there, he would have been an Indian. Not important. He tweeted, with the Packers expected to keep Devontae Wyatt past 2025, per what Gutey said, Oregon's Derek Harmon makes even more sense. Position versatile, whether it's the three technique or the nose tackle, and the perfect D lineman to develop behind Kenny Clark, Wyatt and Harmon as the future at defensive line. Okay. Now Bukowski, because he's Bukowski, who I love, jumps into the replies and says, I'd argue that if they're going to give Wyatt $15 million per year, Harmon makes even less sense. Kenny Clark is on this team at least this year and probably in 2026. I just don't see it early. And I jumped in. I said, wait a minute. 0% of the decision-making at 23, pick 23 for the Packers, should be based on the future of Devontae Wyatt. Okay? And this is what I mean. And I got my panties in a little bit of a bundle listening to that answer and reading some of the discourse between Packers people on Packers Twitter and such. It's like, whether or not Devontae Wyatt is going to be here past the season should have little to no bearing on the player that the Packers pick at 23, right? Derek Harmon, for example. If the Packers think that Derek Harmon can be an elite impact pass rusher / defensive lineman, then I don't care about Devontae Wyatt and if he's here or not. I want the elite player, Derek Harmon. If you don't think Derek Harmon can be that guy, you shouldn't be drafting him anyway. You know what I mean? Is the player a stud? We always talk about best player available. If Derek Harmon, for an example, is the best player available, then take him. And I don't care if Devontae Wyatt or Quay Walker or any of these other kind of mid to slightly above mid-level player. I don't care. I think that's a bad use of resources to have a player like, let's say the Packers love Derek Harmon. They think he's awesome. He's the number one player on their board when the draft gets to them at pick 23. I shudder at the thought of the Packers in the draft room going, man, we love Harmon, but we kind of want to keep Wyatt, right? Like, what are we going to do there? Well, if Harmon's a stud, I don't care. I don't care. It's like at the top of the NBA draft, if you're picking in the lottery, like, well, we love Anthony Edwards, or we love LaMelo Ball, but we already got a point guard. Like, we already got this. So let's take the other guy. You take the player you think is going to be a stud. Now, that's more important in the NBA because there are fewer players, elite players in the draft, and there's fewer players on the floor. But I don't want the future of Devontae Wyatt or Quay Walker factoring at all into the equation of who's selected at 23. And this is why I didn't like this answer from Gutey. Do contract situations or contract statuses or possible extensions does that factor into draft strategy? Here's his answer.
Yeah, no, I think you're very aware of those things, and not necessarily where the discussions are, because sometimes we haven't started any of those discussions yet. But you have to be aware of where your football team is, and I do think when I maybe earlier on in my career, where you might be looking 3, 4, 5 years out, now you're really looking 2 to 3. With the way the cap is moving, and just the nature of the National Football League. I mean, that's just kind of the way it is. So I think you're aware of that. Whenever you go into, whether it's free agency, the draft, it's never looking at 1 year. It's never looking at just that season coming up. It's usually looking at least the next 2.
So that's a perfect general manager non-answer. Well, you're aware of it, but you don't want it to be, he gives a token answer, not really strongly taking a stand one way or the other. I pray and I hope that when the Packers pick comes up at 23 and they're on the clock, they're not looking around the room and saying, well, we really earned this guy's a stud, but we got Devontae Wyatt. Man, I don't care about Devontae Wyatt. I don't. He's a good player who showed real flashes when he's been healthy and he's gotten into a rhythm for a few games, but I'm not making draft decisions based on whether or not that guy's going to be here. If you think there's a stud defensive lineman, take him. Or if you think the defensive lineman isn't any good, you shouldn't take him regardless of other players on your roster. You know what I mean? Like, I hate the idea that the Packers are possibly passing on a player who could help them now, but factoring it, like, you can't have it both ways, right? Like, if you're going best player available, you're going best player available. You can't eschew certain players because, well, best player available. We can't skip that. That guy could help us this year, but we want to go best player available. Well, you can't think that way and talk that way out of one side of your mouth, but then pass up a player or make decisions based on, well, but Devontae Wyatt's here. Like, you're either taking the best player on your board and the player that you believe can be elite one day, or you're factoring in all the other crap. But you can't be choosy on when you factor in all the other crap. I'm giving you a bit of a word salad, but to conclude the segment, do you kind of get what I'm saying? Like, I don't want the Packers nitpicking their selection at 23 based on, well, we got this other guy. Yeah, but that other guy, come on. Devontae Wyatt's a nice player, but he should not be the reason that the Packers draft or don't draft a player on their board, again, that they believe to be elite. If you think the guy is elite, I don't care about the other stuff. I just don't. There's 53 roster spots. You need multiple guys at every position. Injuries happen. Contracts are real. Like, take the best player available. And the other stuff, put that to the side, especially if the other stuff is Devontae Wyatt. If you have young Aaron Donald on your, okay, well then maybe, but not Devontae Wyatt. I'll get to your phone calls next. If you want to react to anything over the weekend, the Bucks, the Brewers, or a thought on what Brian Gutekunst had to say, or a draft thought going into draft week now. First round is coming up on Thursday in Green Bay. All of that is on the board. 608-321-1670. We'll be right back.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Yeah, we have high expectations for Luke. We always kind of have. Obviously, we took him very early, and I'm excited for him. He's still a really young player, and as you guys know, when he was in college, he didn't play a ton in college. So, but we're very excited where he is on his developmental path, and expect big things from him this year. So, certainly, if we're going to get to where we want to go to, he's going to be a big part of that. And so, he's here, and I know. He's here. I think he's here early. I know he was here for a while, and then he did the tailgate tour and stuff. And so I know it's really important to him, and he's been busting his tail to be right this year.
That's Brian Gutekunst earlier today when asked about Lucas Van Ness, expectations for him in year 3. I need to think about the press conference a little bit more. Gutey speaking earlier today. I need time to stew. There's a chance, and it feels more likely. We'll see how the draft falls, but there's a chance that with the outside world going, they need to add pass rush. They need to add pass rush. They need to add pass rush. There's a chance that in that building up in Green Bay, they're like, no, we took Lucas Van Ness in the top 15. We love him. We think we're great. We think we're set at that position. Kind of the same way that the Packers felt that they were set at corner last year when we all just kind of assumed, well, they'll add to that group. Like it's been assumed for months that they'll add to the defensive front. I don't know. Maybe that's just Brian Gutekunst being a politician and a presser and saying that he believes in his player because, what else are you supposed to say? But it's like the whole world is like, hey, this guy ain't good enough. And then Gutey's like, no, we drafted him for a reason. We really like him. I don't know. Maybe there's a little bit of a disconnect. Maybe the Packers feel internally quite differently than fans and media members do. Time will tell with the draft coming up in just a few days. Let's take some calls on whatever. Gutey's availability, but haven't talked on the Bucks or the Brewers yet from the weekend. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Mr. Lululemons.
Dave from Monona. I'm not wearing Lululemons. These pants, I believe, are American Eagle, for what it's worth.
Oh, my God. And you're how old?
Well, they're just khakis. They're just normal khakis.
American Eagle. Aren't they like high school pants?
High schoolers do wear pants, but so do adults. Adults also wear pants.
No, American Eagle. I learned something new about you every day. That and slow cooking. You'll never surprise us. But a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
I am so fed up listening to Gutey and this crap. Gotta bring somebody into the locker room. Gotta have somebody in the locker room. Gotta have. I could give a rat's ass about the locker room.
You're talking about culture and the types of guys. Is that what you're talking about?
Culture doesn't win nothing. Culture wins the locker room. It doesn't win when you're on the field and it's 4th down and you got to have somebody make a play. I've always said in baseball, give me 11 guys on death row who are all pro. I don't care what they do once they go in the locker room.
On death row. You've always said that? I don't know if I've ever heard you say that before, but I'll take your word for it.
I said, give me 9 guys on death row and their final days of living, and I'll give you a championship. Because they always use that, well, he's not good in the locker room.
Sure.
Locker rooms don't win nothing. And before all the coups come out, well, you got to have good team chemistry. No, team chemistry is a joke. Team chemistry is for boys and girls trying to get lucky, not to win a football game.
All right.
And the other thing is, the last 6 teams in the Super Bowl,
mm-hmm.
what do they all have in common? They have a front 4 who put pressure on the quarterback.
Nasty. Yep.
Our front 4, the last under Gutey, is peanut butter, jelly, and marshmallows. They have done 0 in big games, putting pressure on quarterbacks. And then you throw in our linebackers who I don't care what they can do as long as their Wonderlic score is above 2.
So they need to be smart enough, but they don't need to be good guys. I just want to make sure I'm tracking.
Yeah, I need Vagabond Jism. There's got to be a stat out there of how many people, if they're coming to the NFL with a Wonderlic score above 3 or 4, or in Green Bay's case, below 10. And I've actually made it in the NFL. Because I know Gutey, he must have he's got a habit of bringing in people with Wonderlic scores. And by the way, how the hell do you score a 2 on a Wonderlic?
Who are you talking about?
Walker.
Quay Walker.
His Wonderlic score, it was like 2 or 3. It's like, how do you get a score? I remember Brett Fullwood, the dumbest individual ever came to Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
He lasted a couple, about a year, and see you later.
And that was that. I don't remember what Quay Walker got on his Wonderlic. It's a good call, Dave. And there are some things in there I agree with. Your presentation is always going to turn people off, but I believe that Dave is referencing this comment from Gutey. We'll get right back to the phones, but I want to play this for those who missed it. I believe I played this at the very beginning of the show back at 4 o'clock.
The unpredictability of the draft is real, but I think for us, it's just a matter of, we take a lot of pride in the people that we bring into this locker room. We're obviously chasing things that are really big around here, and we got a very good football team with some really good guys in that locker room. And the guys that we bring into this locker room, to me, need to be the kind of guys that are going to fit into that culture and add to it.
So locker room chemistry and culture, it's important. You know what makes for a really good culture? Winning! Everyone's going to be happy in the locker room when they're winning. All too often, and this is very true in the NBA. It's true of baseball as well, and it's true of all sports. When a team is losing, you'll hear reporters or you hear fans. Bill Simmons is the king of this. He'll talk about this on his podcast. When there's a bad NBA team, he'll go, there's something smells in that locker room. You watch those guys' body language. There's just something that's not quite right. Yeah, no, they suck. That's what's wrong with them. Like, of course, the locker room's not in a great mood. Yeah, it's because they're losing. That's why. It's chicken or the egg, but I'm here to tell you it's the chicken. You know what I mean? So there's something going on in the locker room, and you can tell it's really harming them on the court. Yeah, they suck. That's what's wrong. That's what's bumming the team out, is they're not good. You're like, are they losing because of the culture, or is the culture bad because they're losing? The culture is bad because they're losing. No one likes to lose. You will not find a team that's getting its ass kicked on a nightly or weekly basis. But the clubhouse, but our culture is great. But it won't be, because if you lose, the culture will suck, no matter if you have a bunch of, as Dave said, death row inmates or a bunch of seminarians. It won't matter, because if you don't win, the culture will stink. And I will contend that 99% of the time, if you are winning and winning at a high level, the culture will take care of itself. So I'm not dismissing what Gutey's saying, but I get what Dave is saying. Like, you need good players, because good players win games. And if you win games, the culture will, I believe, and I strongly believe, and I believe that I'm right, the culture will kind of take care of itself if the team is good and they're winning. Now, if they suck, I don't know that you can have a good culture anyways, because the guys are just going to be in a bad mood. But it's a great team. We have great chemistry. Yeah, but if you're losing games, it ain't going to save you. Ain't going to help you. 608-321-1670. All right, another call. Wisco Sports Show. Who's that?
What a nice button-up shirt here, Grant. Hope you had a nice Easter.
Thank you, Thomas and Lacrosse. I brought this shirt home. I did not wear it to church yesterday. I thought maybe I'd have to. I went with the sweater instead.
Oh, yeah, because I was going to ask you, put some body spray on or just reuse it again or something, but it looks awfully nice. I'm watching on a TCL Roku 55-inch TV.
Oh, yeah, that's the balls. Yeah,
it's a little behind you, so I'll go back and, like I usually do when I call them.
We'll break down the film. Yeah, go back and review your work.
Yeah, I'm going to call, because I always look for ways to improve, right? No grab ass today. We're going to get straight to the point, Grant.
Okay.
I already previewed with you on Bill's show what I want to talk about, and we're going to keep it straight to that.
Sure.
Again, no grab ass. Number one, Bucks, literally 4-letter word starts with an S. The bed, so bad.
They did.
That I swear on my life, Grant, this is almost a Rob Dog and Robin Stoddard type moment. If the Milwaukee frackin' effing Bucks lose this first round, I'm gonna scream it into a pillow.
That's warranted. I mean, that's warranted.
They should not. They should not, though, Grant.
Well,
I think you and well, okay, and so I'll be okay. So that's number one.
Go ahead.
You can answer that question after I hang up here, or after you
sure
take me off here. Number two. You remember me telling you on Bill's show when I was previewing what I was going to be talking about, right? About the no-hitter that got ruined by that stupid idiotic score operator. And it begs the question, right, Grant? You remember that?
I am listening, yes.
Okay. And I think it's so stupid. And in fact, it was so stupid, I actually called in and brought it up on National Sports Talk Radio. You need to check this guy out, Grant. I'm dead serious, and no grab ass with this. Check out David Shepard, Weekend Overnight on the Infinity Sports Network.
Yeah, you're a Shep guy? Shep produced, thank you for the call, Thomas. Shep produced our friend Bart for a little while at the Infinity Sports Network. The no-hitter thing, I don't know. If it didn't happen to my team, it's not that I don't care. It's just I'm not going to get bent out of shape about it. The Bucks thing, Thomas, I'll leave you with this, then we'll take a break. We'll get to a couple calls on the other side. We'll keep the calls rolling, so please be patient. If the Bucks win tomorrow night, Saturday doesn't matter at all. Like, if the Bucks win tomorrow night, and I'm not telling you that they are, but if the Bucks win tomorrow night, they're in the driver's seat for the series. They looked horrible on Saturday. They looked outmanned. They looked less athletic. They looked less interested and less competitive. They looked like the worst team in every single department. But if they win tomorrow night, if they come out and they're crisp and they're ready and they win tomorrow night, like, Saturday doesn't matter. So I'm almost withholding a little judgment on the series so far until I see tomorrow night. I'm not excusing what happened on Saturday. Like, that wasn't even close. But if they win tomorrow night, they're literally in the driver's seat. They will be in position to win the series because they just got to get one of these. I wish they would have shown a little bit better, but it made it easier to be like, all right, they're not going to win. I'm going to move on with my day. I enjoyed my Saturday more than I would have if they had flubbed it at the buzzer like they did a couple weeks ago with that 4-point play to Halliburton. All right, couple minute break if you're on hold. I promise I'll get you right on the other side.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show. I looked up the team and the game that this no-hitter nonsense happened in. Thomas and Lacrosse brought it up. It was the Yankees. I'm supposed to cry for Max Fried and Aaron Judge because of a scoring thing. That does kind of sound silly, like to go back after the fact and change something to a hit. So you're retroactively changing a no-hitter. I get it. There's certain things I don't care about. Like I'm not going to be the sports radio guy who finds the thing that I need to wail on. Like I'm just going to talk about our teams. Just going to talk about what's going on. Another thing that people are wailing on this week, and I never will do this, is like, oh, you're telling me the Bucks, they're not going to play again until Tuesday night? Why the long layoff? Man, that sounds like a gift. You're telling me I don't have to watch this Bucks team tonight? Great. I'll take the night off. I'd rather have them rested anyways. There's games on every night. That's something that people complain about every year at this time. I don't care. I just don't care. 608-321-1670. Javik Blake, announcer for the Shuckers, the Biloxi Shuckers, the Brewers AA team, going to join us in just a couple minutes here on the other side of the last break of the hour to talk about Craig Yoho and what he's going to add to the Brewers. The Brewers announcer, it was reported that he's being called up earlier today. But a call in the meantime, 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Yeah, Grant.
Hey, Tony.
Texas. Hey, there's a 17-year-old Brewer minor leaguer tearing up. Got another Jackson Cheerio maybe on our hands.
Jesus Made, is that the one?
What a name. What a name.
It's pretty awesome.
But I got to get in this guy, Thomas from Lacrosse. Man, you got no credibility with me, buddy. The guy's got to be on a quick leash after that. He's a fan of Shep, and his call sucked, by the way, too.
Shep? What time is Shep on? Because he was producing Bart, but...
Who cares?
Okay.
The guy follows me on Twitter, but...
does he? Does he?
He does. Hey, Dave from Monona. This is Dave's ultimate team. Michael Vick at quarterback, O.J. Simpson at running back, Aaron Hernandez in the red zone catching passes with Ray Caruth out wide. What a team!
So
you know what? He'd probably draft Ray Lewis too, though. Grant.
Well, the Packers wanted to draft Ray Lewis. I know.
I had to add that.
And that's
my borderline.
This is Dave.
My borderline.
This is Dave.
He'll murder.
Well, yeah. Sorry, I'm jumping you all over you, Tony. Dave will have a good take, but he'll present it horribly. Like, I think culture is a little overblown because if you draft good players and you win, everyone will be happy. You know what I mean? And there's no team of losers in the NFL that's happy, even if they're all great guys. And I think that's what Dave was saying, but as usual, he said it in his Dave way, so he's going to lose people.
I think these athletes care a little bit more about their paycheck going through than the winning. NBA guys specifically. NFL guys, I think, care more. My AAU guys, now these guys care about winning. Talk about culture. I got it going on, my friend.
I think football players week to week care a little bit more about winning. I think there are plenty of players, baseball and basketball, and there's football players that care about cashing a check too, but I don't think you're ever going to find a locker room of football players who get their butts kicked weekly and then come back to the locker room and like, oh, well, we're getting paid. Like I don't think those types of people make it to the NFL because it's so hard to make it there.
Don't. Hey, I got two last points.
Okay.
What you just said is exactly right. After watching basketball kids from like, I don't know, 6th, 7th grade up to 11th grade now, you're right. The mindset, the way they think and the way they want to attack or not, or the passiveness, you're totally right on that, Grant. So it goes on to adulthood. And then secondly, how was your Easter? Because I struggled. You and I are Catholic, right?
Yes, you are. Me as well.
Yeah, we're both Catholic. I'm used to the pristine Catholic churches, the kneeling, getting up, saying, where's Eagles Wind or Eagles, those cool songs we'd sing.
Eagles
Grant,
Wings is more of a funeral tune, but it is a good one.
Yeah,
it's a banger.
You know what I'm saying? You got these hymns and such,
Yes.
I'm at this place, and I'm doing it for women. I'm not going to lie. I'm at this church, and it's like a Jonas Brothers concert. I'm like, what is going on here?
There's nothing wrong with that. Tony, I got to run because I got to get to a guest. I want to hear more later this week about you going to church to get laid, apparently. The churches with the band and with people putting their hands up, awesome. I was raised too Catholic to be comfortable in that environment. I need to feel shame, and I need to sit down and be quiet. There's no pads on the seating. No. The pews, there's no padding on the pews. Easter Mass, lovely Easter Mass yesterday. I have noticed post-COVID, we've stopped dressing up as nice for Easter Mass, which is probably fine. I also watched Apollo 13 with my parents yesterday because it was raining outside and it was on TV. I hadn't seen it in forever. Classic. And I did notice that Gary Sinise's character, when they went to go get him because he needed to help with the reentry simulations, they pulled him out of bed. And like Gary Sinise, we assumed was not doing well, right? He was drinking and he was depressed because he got removed from the mission. They pulled Gary Sinise out of bed in the middle of the night. And the next time you see him when he rolls into Mission Command in Houston or whatever, the dude's got a shirt and tie on. He stopped. Emergency. Astronauts in danger. We need you. They wake up in the middle of the night. This man puts a shirt and a tie on. I just think post-COVID, we have lowered our standards a bit as a society. And I think in some settings it's fine, but I have gotten a little sloppy. A lot of denim at Mass yesterday. Doesn't make anybody a bad person. Just something I noticed. What is my job in these 2 hours if it's not to just occasionally point out things that I notice? All right. Craig Yoho being called up by the Brewers. He will join the club, we assume, in San Francisco or maybe later this week. I don't know. Let's talk about Craig Yoho's stuff. What does he bring to the bullpen? What kind of stuff? What kind of pitches does he throw? What is he going to bring to the majors? So Javik Blake, who's the broadcaster for the Brewers AA organization, going to join us. Awesome interview. I did it at about 3 o'clock. This is a 10 out of 10. He'll join us next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Javik Blake is here. He's the broadcaster for the Brewers AA affiliate, the Shuckers down in Biloxi. And I can't remember if you were on my show or if you were on our midday show with Bill Michaels last spring, but we brought you on. It's like, Javik, you need to tell us about Jackson Cheerio, because typically when prospects come up, they've been in AAA or they've had like a cup of coffee at some point or another. And Cheerio is just like, hey, you're in the majors now and you're making a lot of money. So we had you on and you gave us some really good insight. Why don't we start there? Like, tell us what you saw throughout last year, throughout the beginning of this year, because this was your guy. You obviously watched and called a ton of his games down in Biloxi.
Yeah, he was, man, it's crazy. Like, we knew he was going to be
in your
good.
eyes.
I don't think anyone knew he was going to be this good this quick. I think that's the wild part with Cheerio, because we saw him and he struggled in the first half. He was growing up. I mean, he was 18 and 19 in AA, which is absurd. So, you know, we saw him grow up a lot in the first half. And then ever since the second half hit, it was like exactly what he did in the big leagues. Like the first half, you know, he had a little bit of a downturn, but he was figuring stuff out. Like he was learning. He's a young kid adjusting, whether it was AA or the big leagues. And then his big league season last year, exactly like it was in AA, just a switch flipped and it was go time. And he hasn't stopped, which is the craziest part of the whole thing. So yeah, I mean, it's been so much fun to watch. I know we're proud in Biloxi of what's become of him. And after seeing him 2 years ago, I mean, he was 2 weeks into his AA tenure 2 years ago. And now he's, you know, going to be a core part of the Brewers for many, many years to come is just so cool. And it shows how good the Brewers farm system is, because they're already talking about more guys that are coming up that could potentially be like him, which is absolutely absurd. But man, Cheerio is something special, and he's going to be, I would think he's going to end up being one of the all-time Brewer greats by the time it's all said and done.
Well, and we hope so. And I think the one knock, and it's such a small little knock or a nitpick, is like, so he doesn't take walks, right? And I think like on opening day, he strikes out 5 times, right? Like I remember that. And then he's had some strikeouts where like he just, to me, and I'm very much an untrained eye, he looks so excited to get up there and just pound balls. Like he can't, like because he's, I guess, still technically a kid within, you know, major league terms. Like that's the one thing, and you can see it, and that presents in an interesting way. Like he doesn't want to sit there and watch pitches. Like he's up there to hit. And I kind of love that about him, actually. It makes him very fun to watch. It's very relatable.
I think that's one of the big things. Like obviously he'll grow and mature. Like the Jackson Cheerio we're seeing now in April of 2025 is probably not going to be the Jackson Cheerio. And I hope it's not the same Jackson Cheerio that we're watching in 2027, 28, 29, 2030. And throughout the rest of the years, this 8-year contract. So no, it's really exciting. And he's a guy that just seems to continue to grow at a rapid pace. He's 21, but he's playing like he's a 25, 26-year-old. So if he continues that growth, I mean, by the time he hits his prime, which is usually 28 to 30, 25 to 30, which is still 4 years away. Yeah. Like, just think about that. That's going to be absurd. And it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Just to continue that development, that growth, because that development still happens at the big league level. And he's just succeeding in a very, very big way right now, while those final finishing touches of development are getting put on over his first couple of years of his major league career.
So let's talk about Yoho and Miz, because that's the reason I reached out to you today. It's like, well, Yoho has finally been brought up by the Brewers. Brewers fans have wanted this since the start of the year, even going back to last season too. What was your experience watching Yoho, calling his games, and what makes his stuff so good? Because he's quite literally been unhittable in the minors now for the better part of the last 2 seasons.
He was unhittable when he was with us in Biloxi. I always use the term that he was a big league arm in a AA bullpen in a league that already caters to pitchers very well in the Southern League, just because of how humid it is, The wind always seems to blow in. Some of the ballparks are pretty big, and the humidity factor in the summertime really dampens the ball's ability to just go anywhere. But it's not even like he was giving up fly balls. Like, it was a ground ball machine. He just dominated guys here in the AA level. And every night he came out, it was like, all right, well, pack it up. It's like the 8th inning. We're up by 1. Cool. Game over. Have fun. So, no, it was a blast to watch him in Biloxi. And it was really eye-opening to see what the Brewers did. Ginger Paulson's the scout that scouted him in college, and she's found a number of really, really great prospects. Josh Adamczewski is another one. And it's so crazy, the Brewers scouting department. Obviously, she was the one that scouted him and Adamczewski. But you look at like the player development and the draft and the cross-checkers and everybody who finds these guys. It's insane. And then you look at the player development side. He came into spring training last year and he just put it all together before spring ended and rocketed up. Like, he wasn't really a big name coming out of spring last year. And then all of a sudden the Brewers and the pitching side, whether it's pitching coordinator Nick Childs or the pitching coach here with us last year in Will Shearholes, or Josh Spence, who was with us now, but who was in Appleton last year in high A. I mean, they really did a terrific job on this guy, and he's taken it to another level. Like, a lot of credit to Yoho for battling through a lot of stuff in college and coming out the other end with, again, a demon changeup. I think they started calling it the yo-yo is when Adam McCalvey called it out in spring. But man, it's fun to watch. It's unhittable, and it's been unhittable for about the better part of the last 18 months. And I don't know if it's going to stay. It's going to even become hittable in the big leagues. Like, it's such a weird, unique pitch that nobody knows what to do with it.
The group chat earlier today, my Brewers group chat was talking about how he's got a good slider too. Like, it's not necessarily like he's just a changeup merchant, I guess, or like that's not his only pitch. So describe his arsenal a little bit. Like, what should we expect?
So with us, it was fastball, sweeper, sinker, sweeper, changeup. And it was boom. Well, we're on video, but it was 20 inches one way, 20 inches the other way. And the sinker was 20 inches of arm side run.
You're making an X, right? Like, that's what a lot of pitchers try to do.
Moves. So it's the slider and the sinker go the same way, about 20 inches. But the slider splits the difference between the changeup and the sinker's at like 92, but it gets a ton of movement on it, and the changeup's the other direction at about 17 to 20 inches. And home plate 17 inches wide, so you can start it in on guys' hips, and they're done for. You can start the changeup 3 inches off the plate to a righty, and it's hitting the inside corner. You can start to a righty the sinker at his hip or the sweeper at his hip, and it's landing on the outside corner. So it's really, really, really impressive, that arsenal. And it's not like he throws overly hard. When everything moves as much as he does, it's like he's throwing a Frisbee. You just can't hit it, regardless of whether it's 91 or 92, or that changeup that's in the 70s, but guys don't know what to do with it because he's basically like, the Durangelo Saincha guy with the Mariners organization throws with both hands. Well, Craig Yoho basically just throws a left-handed curveball as a righty, which is just absurd.
Are you surprised that it's taken him this long to get called up? Like, I don't know if it's ever been about the stuff. It maybe has been about the situation of the roster and available spots and options, but I thought he might be up towards the end of last year or maybe the beginning of this year, and I think Brewers fans have wanted him for a while. Are you surprised that it's taken him this long?
I think, like you said, a lot goes into it, whether it's the 40-man spots and stuff like that. And the fact that he wasn't Rule 5 eligible this offseason, so they didn't have to worry about protecting him on the 40-man. I think that all factors into it. But I think he's gotten a great little runway in AAA because he made a couple appearances last year, but he's gotten a great little runway to get a ton of confidence here in AAA of just dominating guys. And obviously all the fanfare and stuff of him being in spring training for as long as he was, because he was, in the later half of spring is when he got sent to minor league camp. So I think it's impressive that, it's not impressive, but I think it's been big for him to get that confidence, to get that stuff in spring, really refine his arsenal. And now he's up to the big leagues. And I would be shocked if he ever goes back to Nashville ever again.
Well, and fans probably always want players or expect players to be called up before they're ready. Like, that's just how fans are, myself included, definitely. Javik Blake is here. He's with the Biloxi Shuckers, ball knower. Miz, it seems like he's got filthy stuff. Is the control still the thing that he needs to get hammered down before he's ready to come up to the majors?
I think in a starter role, I think that's going to be the big focus for him. He refined it in a big way. So his last about 3 starts with us is when it all came together. And you can kind of see it click in his start. And obviously then he went to AAA and was used as a reliever and was really, really good. But I do think, the Brewers are still looking at him as a potential starting rotation option. And obviously, if that doesn't work out, he's going to be a terrific reliever. He also has the upside to be an incredible starter as well. So you still want him to, be a starter in the big leagues. And I think for him, if he's able to find that groove he found at the end of his tenure with the Shockers last year, where he was dotting the cutter at 93 and he was just throwing BBs on the corners. I think that, if he can get to the AAA level with the big league ball, I think that's the final step for him to get to the big leagues. And we've seen flashes of really, really big stuff from Miz. I mean, obviously no one can hit him. I know he's had a couple hitless starts where he's walked a couple, but, he's been very, very good on that. And I think it is just coming down to throwing a lot of strikes or enough strikes to get to the big league level. But I think he's right there. Like, no one can hit him right now in AAA. Just a matter of walking maybe a couple guys less. And that control is there to the big leagues. And I'm very confident with Miz that switch is going to flick on in AAA like it did last year with us in AA. And once that happens, I think it's very quick for him to get to the big leagues.
2 quick hitters before we get out of here. Am I to believe, and I saw you tweet about this, that Coleman Crow throws a pitch with over 3,200 rotations per minute? I want to know about that. And then the latest on Cooper Pratt, too.
Yes, Coleman Crow. So I did a deep dive on it. He's basically throwing Ryan Presley's curveball. It's the only one in the big leagues that spins an average over 36. But he almost gets a little more. He gets, I think it was 12 and 15. So 12 vertical break, 15 gets it in towards the first base side from a righty. So in towards lefties. But yeah, 3,600 is nuts for a curveball. Like, it's tight spin. It's got really, really good spin on it. And it just falls off the table. But it's got a really, really sharp spike on it. But the most impressive thing for me was the fastball, because the fastball was sitting about 26, 27. And that thing doesn't drop. Like, I did a pregame interview with him after the start, and I was like, dude, your fastball, like, it just doesn't drop at all. And he really gets back on it. That was one of the big things he said, is he gets really behind the pitch, and he's working getting behind the pitch a lot. So he generates a lot of spin coming towards the plate, and with that ball stays up in the zone a lot. And of the 4 strikeouts, he got a lot of swings and misses in his first start, where he went 9 up, 9 down. He only faced 11 batters, but a lot of those pitches just stayed up in the zone, and guys are swinging under it. Because despite it being 91, 93, your eyes up at the plate are perceiving that it's dropping, but it just stays up. And it almost kind of just takes off towards the plate, which is really fun. And that curveball is just disgusting from him. He's already got, like, that's a plus pitch. And he's in his first start in 723 days. And Cooper Pratt might be one of the best defensive shortstops I've seen down here at the AA level. It just, everything's so smooth. He makes the easy plays look really easy, and the hard plays look easy. And I think one of the big things too is he hasn't been overmatched by AA pitching. He's rocking a 9% strikeout rate 15 games in. And he's made some really, really good adjustments up at the plate. Like, there'll be some at bats and some plate appearances where he'll get beaten a fastball 0-1, and then they'll try and get it by him for strike 3, and he'll just sit back on it, go the other way, and it's an easy single for him. So he's been really, really impressive. We walked, I think, 5 times in our series this past week in Birmingham. So it's a guy who's really, really good and really exciting. And he's hitting like 270, 280 in a hard-to-hit Southern League at 20 years old and playing plus defense at short, which is a lot of fun to watch.
I'm jealous. Ball knowledge, the baseball that you follow him on Twitter at Javik Blake 8. We'll get a 2-minute update from Zach Halpern. We'll come back. I haven't given you my Brewers thoughts for the weekend. I gave you a taste of the Bucks. We can talk a little bit more about that. Baseball and basketball, and your continued thoughts on the Packers and the draft as well. Hour 2 coming up next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, it is NFL Draft Week, and it takes on an added significance as it's going to be held in Green Bay for the first time. The first round will going on Thursday night. Packers on pick number 23 of the first round, 8 picks in total. That's fewer than GM Brian Gutekunst is used to having. He's picked at least 11 guys in his last 3 drafts, including 13 in the 2023 draft. He was asked today whether he's going to be looking to add to his number of picks.
I think certainly we'd love to, whether that's where we do that and how we do that will really be dependent on the opportunities that are there and the players that are there. Right? We're not going to pass up a really, really good player to move back unless we somehow feel we can still get that player. We'll see. I mean, yeah, I'd like to have 15 every year. That would be about right.
Again, the draft gets going on Thursday with round 1. The next 2 rounds come Friday. Final 4 rounds are on Saturday. As for cornerback Jair Alexander, he remains on the roster. Uticans did not have an update on him. The team looking to trade the former All-Pro, not expected to be on the roster this fall. Turning to Wisconsin, they have just 2 practices left in spring ball. Those going to come Wednesday and Thursday.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Get insurance from a company who knows Wisconsin and cares about your community. You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer, but did you know they also offer competitive home and auto rates? Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more about products and discounts.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Brewers are in San Francisco. It's where they're going to open up a 10-game road trip tonight against the Giants. Milwaukee goes in having won 5 of their first 7 series this year. And the Bucks are back in Indy. They're going to face the Pacers in Game 2 of their series tomorrow. Indy leads 1-0. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
The unpredictability of the draft is real, but I think for us, it's just a matter of, we take a lot of pride in the people that we bring into this locker room. We're obviously chasing things that are really big around here. And we got a very good football team with some really good guys in that locker room. And the guys that we bring into this locker room, to me, need to be the kind of guys that are going to fit into that culture and add to it. And this every year, this is an opportunity to do that. The culture of your football team, comes from your players. And so that's a big part of what we're doing. It is pretty amazing just kind of seeing all this kind of come together, and it's just what a cool thing for the Packers and the city of Green Bay and everything. It's just really, really, really neat to see it all come together.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
That's from Gutey, speaking earlier today, and we covered that pretty thoroughly back at the beginning of the show. But now in hour number 2, we can certainly reset things, and we can talk more about the draft, and what Brian Gutekunst and his posse might be thinking, and what they should be thinking, in your opinion, as the draft fires up round number 1 on Thursday night in Green Bay. We will have a draft show. It will be Bill, but I will be hanging out. I did not do the huddles with Bill this year. Just because I can't be in the studio. I can't be here another 2 hours every week. I did it last year when I lived a little closer to the studio. I just can't. But I told Bill, it's like, I'll do the draft show. I'll get a pizza. We'll settle in. It'll be 7 to 11. So we'll react to all the picks. That's coming up on Thursday night, and probably on Thursday. For the few of you, it's probably a group of folks in the minority. But if you're like, I don't know Bill, I don't know his show, but I want to watch, well, I'll give you the details on Thursday. But I would imagine that that most of you, and I guess I shouldn't assume, but I would imagine most of you have consumed Bill's show at one point in time or know where to find it. So we will have a live draft show on Thursday night. So we can continue to talk Packers. I want to get back to the phone calls, but 2 or 3 minutes here. The Brewers set a franchise record yesterday with 9 steals, and the analytics nerds would not agree, but it's hard to watch a game like that and think, yeah, stealing bases puts pressure on a pitcher, and stealing bases puts pressure on a defense, and they get tight, and they're more likely to make mistakes. You hear that from players and managers a lot, and I would imagine there are baseball nerds and analytics folks who are like, well, that's not actually true. That's just a misconception. Man, I don't know. I watched the game yesterday. It's hard to not think that. Here's Murphy. He said it after the game.
Yeah, I think it rattles any team. It rattle us. If teams were doing it to us, we'd feel the same way. So our young guys like to run, and they're excited about playing that type of game.
This is Bryce Trang basically saying the same thing in the way that only Bryce Trang can, which is without any emotion at all or personality.
I mean, I don't really know. That's just part of the game. It puts pressure on people. It is what it is. It adds pressure. It makes them at least think about it. So it's good when your whole lineup can run around and steal bases and stuff like that.
Again, smart baseball people people who crunch numbers and pour over mountains of data and watch lots of games would tell you, well, that's a misconception. Just because you steal one base, it doesn't make it more likely that you'll steal another. You know what I mean? Baseball nerds probably push back on the idea. But it was hard to watch yesterday and think, yeah, Oakland, they're not feeling it. They're not feeling the pressure. It's obviously they were tight. They were kicking the ball around the infield. The shortstop just straight up took too long with the ball as Yelich is hoofing down the line. Like, I think it did impact the Athletics. And at the very least, like, that game was fun to watch. I think the Brewers need to elevate the ball more. They probably need to hit more home runs than they've hit so far this year. And there's certainly been years in the past. 2021 is a big one. 23, definitely. Like, you cannot have a lineup with too many pop gun bats. And I think the Brewers run dangerously close to that threshold sometimes. It's like, well, Sal doesn't hit with real pop. Durbin doesn't hit with real pop. Garrett Mitchell has pop. He just so infrequently is able to tap into it. Terang is it with a little pop, but he's not a power hitting second baseman by most measures. We'll see how the rest of the year goes. Maybe he's taken a step. And we've talked about that a little bit, but I think this Brewers team does lack pop and lack snooze sometimes. But man, it was fun to watch yesterday. Like, that was a fun product. It's fun to watch guys running the bases and defenders trying to throw guys out, like station to station action on the base paths. We don't get games like that too often. And I don't think it's the recipe to win at the highest level repeatedly in the postseason. But on Easter Sunday, when it was raining outside and we needed something to watch, really fun product, very entertaining. So a good day for Brewers fans and for baseball fans, other than fans of the Athletics, if there are any of those left. 608-321-1670. Let's take some calls. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, happy Easter. He is risen.
He is risen indeed, Cone. Happy Easter to you, too.
Have you ever heard the one about the guy who farts in church?
I have not.
Yeah, he sits in his own pew.
I'm upset that I didn't see that coming. That's very good. Catholic churches typically no padding on the pews, which I can't imagine helps with. Certainly not with volume control if you got to pass gas in church. That's for sure. There's no padding. Nothing.
And that's the way it should be. No padding. I don't even like air conditioning in my church. I want to sweat out my sins.
Sure. Yeah, Catholic, it's not meant to be a comfortable experience. We're not going there to relax.
It's got to be so hot in there. The old women are using the pamphlets to fan themselves.
The little worship aid. Yeah. I would much prefer it to be cold than hot. But yes, I would agree with you to a degree.
And programming question, will the Wisco Sports Show be doing a conclave watch?
No, but I feel like we should. Real talk, this is the last conclave was in 2013, and I know Twitter was a thing, but we have not had a conclave with Twitter, well, the everything app, X, TikTok. Like, I think this conclave, like, especially with the movie just coming out, like, it's conclave season.
Yeah, there's some conspiracies with that. I don't want to get into it, but with the whole Hollywood predictive programming, we don't need to get into that. But curious to see if like Schefter and those guys are going to be reporting on it.
Oh, they'll engagement farm at the very least. Are you kidding me?
Oh, who's going to be the worst is Dov Kleinman. He's going to be just baiting the people.
Yeah, that's true. Making money with a blue check mark. I guess maybe I should join in. Maybe I should also do that.
No, I don't hate it.
Make some money. You have any Brewers, Packers, Bucks thought, or is it just, I love the Catholic talk. We're picking up right up where he left on Friday. Anything else before I let you go?
I wanted to say, I think you're wrong about not complaining about the amount of breaks between game 1 and game 2 of the series. Like, the fact that the Bucks can go home between the series, they flew back right after the game on Saturday, and I don't think are flying out until tonight. That's just a joke to me. Stay in the guest city until it's time to go home.
All right.
I don't like it.
I do wonder, and Cone, I don't have a problem with that. It's just not something that gets my goat. Like, there are sports talk hosts who will build entire segments. We're going to do we're going to do 12 minutes on bitching about the days in between games. And I just don't really care. I'm glad I don't have to go home and watch the Bucks tonight. I'm behind on Survivor. I was at my parents' all weekend. Like, it's fine. I wonder if they'd be going home if they were playing farther away than Indianapolis. You know what I mean? Like, if they were playing in Los Angeles, and I know East-West, but just for the sake of an example, like if they were playing far away, would they be going home? Or is that just because, is that a byproduct of playing in Indy? I don't know. And I don't really care. It's okay for you to care, Cone. It's okay for all of you to care. I'm not going to tell you how to fan. I just don't. I'm not going to get bent out of shape about it. Let's take another call. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, it's Piano Man. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing excellent, Piano Man. How are you this evening?
Fantastic. I just got my neck broken at the chiropractor, and I feel fantastic.
Well. Oh, okay. That's not what I was expecting you to say. Congratulations.
Well, and I'm going to the draft for the 30th birthday on Thursday and Friday. That's really looking forward to that. I'll only be able to be there for days 1 and 2, but
wow,
what happens when you're a musician? You got to go to a rehearsal 3 hours away the next day, and then that same day drive 2 hours to another gig before you get to go back home and actually celebrate your birthday. But yeah.
Well, you're a casual. You're only caring about the first 2 days. Are you really even a draft guy? Sometimes I wonder. Is it bad if I'm I really want Derek Harmon? What do you think about that?
I really like the tape, but he doesn't have an RAS and he doesn't have a full battery of athletic tests. And the Packers never, ever, except one instance in the Gutey era, have taken a guy with a premium pick like that doesn't have a full profile of athletic testing.
Who was it?
I wish I could remember. That's really bothering me. Oh, I'm usually on top of this.
Well, I'm the one who should know. I guess I can Google it, I guess. Try.
It might be an obscure Google search, but I would like Derek Harmon. Honestly, there's a lot of people who crap on Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M.
Okay.
Texas A&M runs a weird defensive scheme. They put him in positions that are unfavorable to his skill set. And same with Georgia players. Those are weird evals.
Interesting.
According to multiple scouts and personnel evaluators and draft podcasters. But I would love.
Yes.
I wouldn't mind Shamar Stewart at 23. I wouldn't be nuts about it, but I'd understand it.
No, I'd be fine with Shamar Stewart. The dude's built like a Mack truck. The Packers saying today, Gutey saying today, Piano Man, that they don't look at RAS. It's not even, they don't look at it. So this is what Gutey said about that today, and then we'll get right back to the calls.
Yeah, so we don't use RAS score at all. We don't have anything like that. We have we do have some analytic scores that our analytic people do on their own that measures, athletic traits and other things. But we've never really used an RAS. I know what that is. We've never really used that in any, whether it's free agency, the draft, or anything like that. So now I've come from the Ron Wolf, Ted Thompson, so like traits are very, very important to us. Testing numbers are important. And that's part of the changing world in scouting right now is, these guys are really picking and choosing what they do. We don't have universal numbers across the board like we used to. Which makes it tough. But there are some new technologies coming into play with GPS data and things like that, you kind of have to try to make up for it. So the traits are really important to us, but at the same time, on like a cumulative RAS score, we've never really used that at all.
I'm not sure that I totally believe that. They probably have their own version of it, right? Packers players typically are big, strong, fast is what they look for. How they want to categorize it or how Gutey wants to categorize it, I guess I don't really care. But Ryan pointing out, well, Derek Harmon didn't have a full battery of testing. Gutey saying, well, all of these guys are being picky and choosy about what they test because, I think this has become such a science now. How do I show well at the combine? They just said, well, that one thing I'm bad at, I'm just not going to do it. You know what I mean? And that's a challenge for a team like the Packers. It's a challenge for all the teams. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
This is Louie in Eau Claire.
What's up? What's up, Louie? What's going on?
Not much, Grant. Thanks for taking my call. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
I know I'm just starting here at 5, listening to the show. I didn't get to listen to the first part, so you may have already covered this. But, when Gutey says he doesn't really, I don't want to say he doesn't care, but he doesn't mind if a guy doesn't play right away. I get that to an extent, but the fifth-year option sneaks up pretty quickly on a team. So let's say Lucas Van Ness, he kind of got his feet wet a little bit year one. He played some last year, but had kind of the thumb issue. Now, let's say this year he comes out and has, let's say 9 or 10 sacks, and he makes a Pro Bowl. All right.
Wow.
All of a sudden here, after the third year, they have to decide whether they're going to pick up his fifth-year option. And since let's say he makes the Pro Bowl, that fifth-year option is the average of the top 10 at your position, outside linebacker, or I guess a 4-3 end, whatever he's classified as. I'm not sure. Then all of a sudden you have to decide, wow, we have to pay big money. And if he makes a Pro Bowl this year, I mean, you don't really have any option but to pick it up. But I don't think you'd have a real good sample size to see if that was actually a fluke or if he's actually developing into a really good player. I kind of like the notion of first-round picks being kind of boom or bust players. You know, the Packers have gotten a lot of players, you know, the Wins and the Van Nesses. They've shown chances that maybe they're pretty good. You certainly don't want to cut bait, but I don't really want to invest a ton of money in these guys without having a bigger sample size. And if you're wasting, I don't want to say wasting, but if you're really tepidly jumping in with these guys, and then all of a sudden you have to decide whether you're going to pay them or not, I don't know. I don't really like that whole kind of philosophy or notion. What do you think?
So, okay, so that's very fair. The idea that you want the player to boom or bust faster, I guess I can understand that. I don't think the lack of production from Lucas Van Ness through his first 2 years has been environment-based. It's not like he's been buried behind a group of elite pass rushers. Like Rashawn Gary, when he was drafted in 2019, right? He was behind a newly signed Preston Smith and a newly signed Zadarius Smith. Like, he didn't play a ton. I also don't know that he was ready to play a ton, but even if he was brought into a team that had just signed 2 guys that were very good at his position. And when you invest in guys like that, you're going to play them. You know what I mean? So the Packers had players with motivation to play those players in front of Rashawn Gary. I think Lucas Van Ness has had opportunities the first 2 years. I don't think his production and performance have been suppressed because the Packers have had other good players. Like, the door has been open, especially last year. You know what I mean? It's not like Kingsley and Igbare is like, well, you got to play him. He's a fine rotational pass rusher, but the door has been wide open for Van Ness to come through, and he just hasn't. And if he pops this year and is really good and he makes a Pro Bowl, that's a good problem to have. So I'm not going to lose too much sleep over that. There will always be an issue of having good players and needing to pay the good players. Louis, I get where you're coming from. It's just really difficult to well, we're going to take this guy and we want him to be good right away because we know he's going to be good, but we don't want to pay him to be good. Like, it's very difficult to be that precise with player evaluation and drafting because it is to a degree quite random. And there is some luck involved, and obviously injuries and all that stuff plays a role as well. But I get where you're coming from. 608-321-1670. 2 calls on hold. I'll get to you both here before the break. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, happy Monday. Happy draft week. I'll be pretty concise today. I know the phones are loaded. Following up the last caller, it's a hell of a lot easier to just blame the defensive coordinator and say, Lucas Van Ness is a first-round pick.
Yeah.
Why doesn't he have sacks? Look at all the first-round picks on defense.
Correct.
I am really enjoying, as obviously captain of the Joe Barry hype train or conductor, of all of the talking heads saying, wow, this defense really needs an infusion of talent in the draft this year. I mean, we didn't spend the last 4 years dunking on a defensive coordinator for having too much draft talent. We need to continue that. Anyway, that's my little soliloquy there.
That's
hey,
fine.
Grant, I'm excited this week for draft week, mostly because of the music. Do you know who's the big concert at the end of the draft week?
Well, it's Brad Paisley, and Brad Paisley kicks ass. Like, I would go to that. When they announced the musical lineup a couple weeks ago, and I'm not, maybe some people like some of these bands. The only band that I remember was like a Luke Combs tribute band. I'm like, can we not get the real Luke Combs? Like, we're getting a tribute band? With all due to Eau Claire, this isn't the friggin' Pablo where we have like, I don't know, a tribute to the, I don't know, like a tribute to whoever. You know what I mean? Like, we should be able to do better. So it's cool that they got Brad Paisley. Like, that rips. He's awesome.
I talked a little bit about this on the morning show last week, but the Glam Band playing across the street at Stadium View both nights, Thursday, Friday. Their lead singer has a bunch of health problems that came back, and if you haven't had a chance to see him, make the trip down there just for that. But Grant, to wrap the call, I've got my top 4, my Mount Rushmore of Brad Paisley song titles.
Okay.
And we'll go quick here.
Titles
Number
or songs?
1,
Are you ranking these just because of the song titles, or do you like these songs?
I think the only song I've ever heard that I could recite at all is Picks from Brad Paisley.
Sure.
I'm just going off of titles alone.
Okay, that's fair.
And this is in no particular order.
Okay.
But I've got I'm Still a Guy. By the way, The Truck Still Works is the title of his tour kicking off this summer, which is just very awesome. I'm Still a Guy. Number 2, No I in Beer.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, Mud on the Tires. And of course, number 4, not pornography, Grant. It's cornography. Get that out of your head.
I'm not familiar with that one. I'm not familiar with that one.
I'll have to check out more Brad Paisley this week.
Did you see, it's a good call, Vagabond John. I like Brad Paisley. Did you see the drummer of the New Pornographers, by the way, getting busted for child pornography? I saw people on the internet pointing out, yeah, it's never the people you expect. Isn't that tricky? I love Brad Paisley. It was my first concert actually in 7th grade. Saw him at the X. Unbelievable guitar player. Very good songs and an excellent entertainer. Yes, the country song title game and album title game, like it's a little corny. Like if you go look through Jason Aldean's discography, like all the album covers look the same and all the titles are like same dirt, new boots. You know what I mean? Like same truck, different type. It's all stuff like that. So yeah, it's corny. But I will not have people railing against country music. Like country music, that's not real country music. Okay, but it's awesome. Like you go listen to Cody Jinks and smoke your cigarettes outside. I'm also going to listen to like Keith Urban and Jason Aldean because that's awesome too. The gatekeeping and the pretentiousness around country music is just absolutely out of control. Well, if it's not Coulter Wall, I'm not listening. Okay, well, I guess I don't know what to tell you then. One more call, 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Eric on 990.
Good evening, Eric.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good. It was only one game.
The Bucks?
On Saturday. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. And when we come back after you're calling after this break, I'm going to look, the Bucks looked horrible. But the funny thing is, like, if they win tomorrow night, like, they're in a great position to win the city. That's why the NBA playoffs are so wild, especially if you start on the road. You just need to get one of them,
Right. We can just shift gears here. They can come out of this. It's a game of runs.
It's a series of runs. In the macro and the micro, yeah.
So you guys are talking about the NFL draft. Who are you hoping they pick up a wide receiver? Is that are you still hoping for that?
I think Sam Brookhouse backed me off of that last week. Now, Ted McMillan remains intriguing because he's the kind of guy with real ball skills that the Packers could use. I don't think he'll make it to 23. He might not make it to 7. And if he doesn't make it to 7 or 8, then he's probably off the radar. But if he's there at like 14 or 15 or 16, like I think Gutey might pick up the phone and try to make some calls.
You Packer fans and us Viking fans.
And owners. Owners too.
Owners, yeah. Well, that's good. I can insult both of you at one time.
Okay.
You guys are in the same boat that we are. We're really hoping your quarterback turns out, and so are you. And I think that's the key to your season, regardless who you draft.
That's true. I suppose.
You were talking about something stinks in the locker room, and it's bad culture.
Yes.
And it's like something smells. The Vikings last year, we went through the whole season and nothing smelled. We had a little bit of bad smell, but we got rid of it, and there was this nothing smelled. It just got better and better smelling all the time until the last 2 games.
What happened then?
We know exactly it started to stink.
Well, and why is that, do you figure?
We know exactly why it started to stink. Because Sam Darnold held onto the ball too long, and he's not the guy.
And they were losing. And they were losing games. That's why.
We were. But we know who was at fault. We know who was at fault in that.
All right.
Clear as bell. I think you guys are still kind of wondering if Jordan Love is it. I don't think you're as sold as you were. I just don't.
On a certain level, yes. You know what I mean? Like he's a franchise quarterback and can be a starter. I don't think that's what the question is he, a quarterback like Matt Ryan or a quarterback, quarterbacks who like once every couple of years when everything lines up, like it can happen. Like, is he one of those guys? Or is he a guy who can perennially, I was going to say Kirk, but it never happened for Kirk. Like, that's why I didn't say Kirk. Cause it happened for Matt Ryan. He won an MVP, should have won a Super Bowl and then but that was the year. Like, is that Jordan Love or can he be a guy who like knocks on the door every season?
Well, that wasn't bad culture in Atlanta either. That was just a couple bad games at the wrong time. That I think at that point, and, culture. Casey has got to have good culture because it sure doesn't seem like they have superstars everywhere.
Yeah, and they're
They
certainly
sure
not
have
drafting
one.
choir boys.
No, and they score bad on their facilities. They score bad on their
Everything.
trainers and how they treat players. But apparently that doesn't matter. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I think it matters to a degree. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. It's a good call, Eric. Nice to hear from you. I will say on Vikings fans, you all really want to put it all on Sam Darnold those last 2 games. And I think that's warranted. But Kevin O'Connell does not have a playoff win yet. And for Packers fans, LaFleur can't win the big one. Look at Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell's gotten blasted in his only 2 playoff games that he's played. Is that a preparation thing? Does he get tight? I think he gets a little pass happy. That fearsome Brian Flores defense. What happened to the defense? The play, yeah, Darnold was bad, but I just got to call Vikings fans a little bit. It's like, well, Darnold messed it up. Now that Darnold's out, it will be good. Oh, okay, all right, and everything else is perfect. Every single other thing was perfect. All right, if you say so. If you say, I don't know, it's not my team, I wouldn't know. You all would know, Vikings fans. Love you, Eric. Thanks for the call. 3 minutes. We'll come back. Continue the show next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep, that dog will hunt. I know people aren't going to come onto this show and badmouth Brad Paisley. And I know that's not what Vagabond John was doing. But the elites, and this is not a a shot at anybody on any side of any political aisle, but the elites in this country would tell you that country music is hokey and it's not good and it's sick because all they sing about is cold beer and dirt roads and pickup trucks. And that might be true to a degree. But you know what kicks ass? Cold beer, dirt roads, and pickup trucks. So if you don't like country music, fine. There's lots of types of music that I don't really like that much. But what's gotten annoying is like the elitism around country music. It's not real country. You know what's real country is? Cody Jinks. If it's not Chris Stapleton, I don't want it. If it's not Coulter Wall, that's real music. If the sound of a coal miner isn't in the background, it's not even real. It's not real country music. You know what's real is Tyler Childers smoking cigarettes on a roof. It's like, okay, yeah, that's all good. I like that stuff. You know what's also great is Brad Paisley singing a song about mud on his tires and then making a music video with Jason Alexander, which played on Saturday and Sunday mornings on CMT. That is also great. So the whole, and I'm looking at you, Andrew Wagner. I see your tweets. Oh, if it's not the Turnpike Troubadours, it's not worth my time. Like, no, I like Keith Urban too. Plus, Brad Paisley, at the very least, is a kick-ass guitar player. Like the musical spawn of James Burton and Vince Gill and Albert Lee and Brent Mason, all those guys. Killer player too. So fun show. If I was in Green Bay this weekend, I would go see that. I would see Brad Paisley again. I saw him in 7th grade. It was the first concert I ever went to. Very good performer and entertainer. I don't like country. Country music's for hillbilly. Okay, well then I guess I'm a hillbilly. Sue me. I'm a hillbilly. I drink Busch Light out of a can just like every other man. I didn't drink Busch Light this weekend, but I drank Miller Lite and Liney's Light. It was delicious. And if that makes me hokey, if that makes me small time, then so be it. 608-321-1670. Talking Brewers, talking Bucks. Or we can continue to follow up on anything that Brian Gutey said earlier today. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Dean, in honor of Brent Suter starting that game that the Reds won by like 24 runs.
He started that game?
Quick. Oh, yeah. He was the starter first 3 innings.
I didn't know. I honestly didn't know Brent Suter was in the
man.
I didn't know he was in the majors. Oh, God. Well, good for him.
Hobie Milner's killing it with Texas, too, right? Our two lefty, what are they, like 90-mile-an-hour fastball guys.
Our darlings, both of them. Don't badmouth Hobie or Brent Suter, but definitely
I know you're
not
a fan. I know you're a fan. I'm just trying to needle you a little bit on this sad day of rest in peace, Pope Francis, of course. But my question was going to be in terms of a statistician's perspective.
Okay.
So when Sal Frelick has the game he had, but then gets thrown out twice on the bases, one of which was against this Langoliers, the villain from a Stephen King novel, who is unable to throw anybody out. But he also got thrown out going from second to third in a pretty unnecessary setting. I don't know. So I know that they value a lot all these slap singles and some doubles here and there, but like getting thrown out on the bases is a big deal in the wins above replacement category. Would you say that was a plus or a negative day for him getting thrown out twice, even though he had quite a bit of a stat line?
Are you asking or requiring that someone hold Sal Frelick accountable for getting thrown out on the bases? Is that what you're driving at here?
Well, I think my point is like, man, yeah, great, get on base and drive some people around the bases, but don't get thrown out. What are you doing? Like, come on. He was being so aggressive, and it's fine, like try to get the franchise record. They got it. I don't know. I just, from my perspective, it's like stop being such a, still a sophomore player effectively. Yes, he's showing some polish, but still making some dumb mistakes. Knock it off and just take the plus day that his stat line produced.
This is why I love Sports Talk Radio. Dean, that's an outstanding call. Okay. And they do like, what language did you use? I don't remember what he said, but he's basically saying they like their slap hitters. I would say, and I think I talked about this with Javik Blake earlier today when we recorded, Murph likes his gamers. I don't know if Caleb Durbin is here if not for Pat Murphy. Maybe he had nothing to do with it. Okay, maybe it was, you can't possibly believe that Pat Murphy has personnel say. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe it's just Matt Arnold and there maybe it is. But Caleb Durbin sure seems like a Pat Murphy player, doesn't he? Like he really seems to fit what Pat Murphy is looking for, which is like, give me 9 Sal Frelicks and I'll get you to the NLDS. Maybe. This is why I love Sports Talk Radio, though, is Dean was like, you know what we haven't talked about? Sal Frelick got a little loose on the bases yesterday. Can he reel it in? Can we apply some pressure there? You know what? I will hold Sal Frelick accountable for getting thrown out on the bases. What was that? What was that about? I think they could have stole 15 bases yesterday had they really wanted to. Langoliers didn't have a prayer. Oh, and it helps that Luis Urias is like 5'9". Like, oh, it sailed into center field. I'm not sure that it sailed as much as Luis Urias is. Well, Luis Urias. One more call, then we'll take a break. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Southside Scott.
Southside Scott. How's it going, Scott?
Yeah, so I was enjoying the first part of the Brewers game yesterday. And I was calling because earlier this hour, you were talking about how all those deals trade the defense to tighten up.
Okay.
And how some people may say, oh, it doesn't matter. It's like, it does. It's just like in football, if you have awesome tight end or a very aggressive and good defensive end, the other side has to account for that person, which creates mistakes somewhere else.
Okay.
The exact same thing.
All right. I suppose. Should I have led the show with this? I'm getting tweets about this now too. Like, was this something that was weighing heavy on everyone's heart and mind yesterday, and I just glossed over this? Is this a blind spot for me?
Just when you were bringing it up at the top of the 5 o'clock hour, I just now had a chance to call in about it. But it's no difference than having a star player on one side of the ball in football, and the other side has to account for it, which creates mistakes. Same thing with people stealing bases; they have to tighten up, which can create mistakes.
Yeah, well, they were certainly. I mean, they were tight yesterday to the point where the shortstop just held the ball too long, and Christian Yelich just like, I guess I'll run to first and I'll be safe. This is Pat Murphy again after the game. This is what I played back at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I think it rattles any team. It rattle us. You know, teams are doing it to us. We'd feel the same way. You know, so our young guys like to run, and they're excited about playing that type of game.
I think it's correct. The nerds would tell you otherwise, but man, watching yesterday's game, it's like you can't watch that game without thinking, yeah, the A's are feeling it. Like, it's in their head. Is that as important as, driving the base? No, probably not. But one game here and there, in a moment here and there, I think it matters, and it certainly makes for entertaining baseball on Easter Sunday. We're not playing the Mets or the Dodgers or the Diamondbacks or whatever in the wild card series. Like, we're just trying to win a Sunday game, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching yesterday. We'll come back. A couple Bucks thoughts for you next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
I thought our offense was awful. I thought our offense contributed as much to our defense as anything. We just didn't play the way we've played during this stretch offensively. And I thought we had a lot of missed shots, which allowed them to have a lot of breakouts. So we had our mistakes defensively too. They were shooting 60%. But I thought, as your defense connects to your offense connects to your defense.
Sorry, I cut that off at a weird place. Stock Rivers after Saturday's game, I agreed their offense was atrocious. Their defense wasn't much better. But in an NBA game, especially on the road, like the other team's going to score points. Especially if you're missing all your shots. It's easier to get a ball off the rim, rebound it, and go than it is to take it out under the rim. Especially the Pacers, because the Pacers want to get out and run, which we talked about last week with Justin. We talked about it on Friday with Ty Windish as well. Like, that's the number one challenge of the Bucks. How to contain or how to stop or slow down or prevent the Pacers from running in transition as much as possible. And I say as much as possible because, of course, you're never going to completely be able to stop it. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of possessions over the course of the game. It's going to happen. I will agree with Doc Rivers that my God. Giannis scored 36 points. You want to hear how the other starters did? Taurean Prince, 0. Kyle Kuzma, 0. Ryan Rollins, 5. And I think that might have been like right out of the gate. He had the layup out of the gate, and I think he had a 3 run out of the gate. So if you take away like the first 2 or 3 minutes of the game, I think Ryan Rollins had 0 points the rest of the way. Brook Lopez with 9. Portis, who's a legit offensive option, had 4 points. Livingston and Jericho Sims both played. They had 0 points combined. Gary Trent Jr., who I think they should probably start. AJ Green, who I feel like they should probably start. Like, I would really change the lineup. In fact, I suppose it doesn't matter who starts. It matters who plays the most, and it matters who plays together, and it matters who closes. I don't need 22 minutes of Kyle Kuzma. I don't need if that's how he's going to play. Well, he's got a bad thumb. Okay. Well, does his thumb Is the thumb injury that it fell off and lodged in his brain? Because it was more than the thumb. Like, I'll take more AJ Green. I'll certainly take more Gary Trent Jr., which is hilarious because I could have told you that last week. We talked a lot about Gary Trent Jr. Bobby Portis got enough run and enough opportunities. He just didn't score. Like, they didn't score. Nobody shot well. Nobody played well. And we talk about how role players play better at home. Well, other than Giannis, this is a team of role players. So maybe we shouldn't be surprised that they all absolutely sucked on Saturday. Now, a little optimism, and maybe Bucks fans don't want to hear it. Maybe they just want me to be Johnny Rain Cloud and complain. But a little bit of optimism. If the Bucks win tomorrow night, Saturday literally does not matter at all. At all. Because as the road team, you just have to steal one, and you're in a great position going home. In fact, I think there are circumstances and there are teams that I prefer starting on the road. I preferred when the Bucks started on the road with Budenholzer because Budenholzer was never good in game ones anyways. That team was a team that would wear you out over the course of a series. So why would we waste our home games before the team's really playing their best basketball? And as somebody texted in, who was it? I don't have your name. I'm sorry. They're a 715 number, so I assume they're in Eau Claire. They're a WAYY listener. Says, Bucks went up 2-0 versus the Raptors, then lost 4 straight, and went down 2-0 to the Suns, then went on to win the next 4. Not worried about the Bucks until they lose a home game. I mean, I'm worried about the Bucks because I don't think they're very good. So I'm worried about the Bucks, but I'm not going to completely freak out and say this thing is cooked before they play game 2, because if they play game 2, if I'm a Pacers fan, I'm like, well, crap. You know what I mean? We're going to get to the Monday mailbag here in just a couple minutes after our last break. So submit your questions, whatever they're about. GrantBills21@gmail.com. Kind of a fun segment. It's the point of the whole thing, but we'll take one break or one call before our last break. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, it's Q.
Q.
How's it going?
What's going on, Q? Q in Milwaukee. What's up?
We agree on the Bucks.
I mean,
Exciting.
I still don't think they're great. Like, there's still plenty of things to be worried about. But the reality is, if they come out and the role players shoot well and they win tomorrow night, which could very well happen, they're in an awesome spot. Like, they're actually on the inside track to win the thing.
I agree completely, especially with Dame coming back, whether he comes back tomorrow or on Friday. We're in a good position. And just to remind people, the Bucks beat the Pacers in game 1 last year by like 20 points. And guess what? We lost the series. So game 1 don't really matter.
I have no memory of that. That's weird. Did they really? Let me go look.
Yeah, Dame scored like 35 in the first half. He ended up getting hurt. Regardless, you're a boat and shipping guys in the Great Lakes, right?
Correct. That is one of my interests for some reason.
So there are 4 ports in the United States that are classified as foreign 47.
Okay.
Not exactly sure what that means, but one of them is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And there are large barges in Milwaukee right now. Like, usually there's one Milorganite barge that I can see from my condo that overlooks the lake.
That rules.
There's a lot more barges because of like the tariff stuff, because of this foreign 47 thing, where there are certain, like, boats can unload or just port in Milwaukee and avoid or delay some of the tariffs, and they can like but they can, if things are in parts, if they assemble them here, they can avoid certain other tariffs. But It's just kind of crazy that there's 4 ports in the U.S. that have this, and one is in the largest city in our state. So we'll see.
I wonder where the other ones are.
see
The
what
other ones
happens.
also Great Lakes. Do you know where the other ones are?
I did not see that in the article, but I can look that up and text you back.
Well, yeah, please. I'm interested. Part of me, Q, and that's a great call. Thank you. Part of me thought you were going to make a Bucks analogy, and I'm almost glad that you didn't, because I would rather just talk about ports. Yeah, dude, Great Lake City's rip. Like, there's trade coming down those things. The St. Lawrence River. You know, people don't. I mean, Great Lakes. You know, we live in the Midwest. It's like, oh, Milwaukee, it's a fun town. Like, nah, there's product moving through there, baby. And of course, the tariffs. It's like taxes. We find a way to work around it, and then it gets more complicated. So then we spend more money on lawyers and stuff to work around those things, and it's just, you know, it's bureaucracy. It's the government. When we come back, submit your questions for the Monday mailbag. GrantBills21@gmail.com. I will get to them on the other side, and we will wrap up the show next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Because the mail never stops. Charles, we'll be writing to you.
She's got mail. That's the name of the movie.
That's it, honey. There's never a let-up. It's relentless. Every day it piles up more and more and more, and you gotta get it up. And the more you get out, the more it keeps coming in.
It's the Monday mailbag. You can submit your questions, sports related or otherwise. You can. I'm not going to tell you what to ask about. But the thing is, the idea of this segment is we talk about something different than what we spent the first 2 hours on. So if you email in, it's like, who do you think the Packers should draft? That's fine. Let's just do that in the other. We have segments already for that. Get my point? Little Brewers breaking news before I crack open my email inbox, grantbills21@gmail.com. The Brewers have announced their roster moves officially. They've selected Craig Yoho, which we knew. They're optioning Logan Henderson, which I kind of assumed. Sucks for him because he made a great start, but them's the breaks in baseball. And Nestor Cortez has been transferred to the 60-day, which, not surprised. That injury stunk from the beginning. They never told us anything. We never had any information. And everything I heard and read, it's like, it doesn't seem great. So the Devin Williams trade is made a little bit better by what Caleb Durbin is doing. But still, that's been an underwhelming haul so far, as has the haul for Corbin Burns. And Joey Ortiz is fine, but both the pitchers acquired in the mix have been basically worthless. Well, Devin Williams on last year's contract. Corbin Burns last year's contract. I know, but they were still very good assets. Excellent assets. I didn't want the Brewers to re-sign them. Thrilled that they shipped them out of town. So maybe we could have done a little bit better. That's all. It's Brewers news. I felt the need to pass that along. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing my job as a sports talk radio host. Let's get to the emails, shall we? Thomas of the Cross, who we heard from earlier, says, welcome back. Hope you had a wonderful time off from the show. I mean, I was here last week, Thomas. Where were you? I was here doesn't matter. My question for this week, what are you planning to do for your mom for Mother's Day? I know it's a little bit away, but it'll be here before you know it. And then I'll address the second half of this email after. I believe my mom will be in Florida on Mother's Day. So I don't think I'll be doing anything for her. Send a card. call or text, definitely. But I think she'll be I think they're taking a trip with my other two siblings. I can't go. I have a wedding that this doesn't matter. You also say, Thomas, in this email, and I do have a comment on this, says, can't believe year number 3 at UWL is almost done. Any good recommendations for field experience or internships that I need for the sport management major? So I never had an internship in college. You want to know why? Because I had a job. Get a job, Thomas. That's what I'd say. Look, if you can get a great internship, do it. I just think so many companies now, it's like, well, we can't pay you, but it's great experience. It's like, is it that great of experience, though? If the experience was that great and your position was that worthwhile, would it be unpaid? I don't know. I think unpaid internships are a sham. Like Austin. He interns us in the summer, but he gets paid because he's working. So, no, I have no recommendations. Thomas, sorry. Tom emails in and says, is putting a soft top on a Jeep difficult? Wurs and Bloomer. I don't know. I've never tried to do it. I can't imagine it would be easy, though. Putting a cover on most things is quite difficult. So putting a soft top on a Jeep, I feel like I would get pissed. That process. Josh, your question is Survivor related. I will skip it because I am behind. Apologies. This is from Clemhead Mike in Chippewa Falls. Says, I have a wedding Thursday night. Who the hell gets married on a Thursday? My niece is marrying a man from Lebanon. Maybe Saturday is a holy day for Muslims. I hope there's booze, but probably not. Sigh. I will record the draft. More of a comment, really. Good luck with the wedding, though. Sounds like you're excited. I went to a wedding last fall. It was a Friday night wedding, which I don't mind. I don't mind Friday night weddings. There's no great way to do it because you're either waking up on Sunday somewhere in a hotel and you're driving back, or you're taking Friday off. I don't mind Friday night weddings, especially if I have to travel, because it's probably best to take a little time off anyways, even if it's like a half day. A Friday night wedding in the fall during football season is wild behavior. Not necessarily because the Packers were playing on Friday night, although they were. Like high school football's going on. You know what I mean? Now, even if there's no kids at the wedding, which I have mixed feelings on. I feel like kids should be welcome at a wedding. That's just me. It's just me. It's your day. You can set it up however you want. If I have family members who have young kids, and I do, because all my cousins are older than me, I'm supposed to tell them leave the kids at home. Now, if you want to leave the kids at home because you want to go to the wedding without them, more power to you. But say, leave the kids behind. It's a family affair. There should be kids there. I don't want there to be like hundreds of them. That would suck. But, a couple kids mixed here and there, it's fine. It's not the royal wedding. You know what I mean? We're getting married at a vineyard in Fountain City or wherever the heck. You know what I mean? Like, we're not getting married in a palace. And there's not, the BBC's not covered. Well, there can't be children. Yeah, there can be. Like, there can be children at the wedding. But then again, it's your wedding. Do it how you want. Friday night wedding in the fall, though, is a wild, wild thing to do. Now, I don't have kids playing high school football, but that would be a real predicament if I did. They are Minnesota people, Twin Cities people. Love them. Great wedding. Beautiful. No complaints about it. The timing was precarious, though, because if I had a strapping young lad who was one of them boys of fall, it would have been a difficult decision. Tomorrow, continue to focus in a little bit more on the draft. We could talk some more prospects because I have some strong opinions on some of these prospects. I think I'm really starting to like the idea of Derek Harmon, which means he's probably going to come off the board at like 12, shoot a hole in my draft night. Enjoy the Brewers in bed tonight out in San Francisco. Looking forward to that. I will talk to you